Do you hear that? I believe.
I believe
Ding, ding,
in
ding,
Steph and
ding.
Anja's media review.
Hi.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Steph and Anja's media review, where we review literally anything. Welcome to the start of the Christmas season.
Yes.
It's the Polar Express, a
It's
classic.
such a classic. I'm so excited for
So
this
good.
episode.
Oh my gosh.
Ah,
So obviously, we've just said classic. I guess Anja, what is your history with this movie? What
well.
age do you reckon you were when you first watched it?
Okay, well, it did come out after I was born, so win for me. Yes. Don't get that sometimes on this show. But I definitely wouldn't have watched it when I was all of like 3 years old, but I
Mhm.
definitely watched it when I was a little older. Um, it was a Christmas classic. I definitely have seen it multiple times. I remember in my childhood sometimes being very bored with this movie and sometimes loving this movie. So, um, and yeah, I have some just ingrained certain little sections of the movie in my brain when I think about this movie, but it's always been around in my family and I've always watched it. And when I think of Christmas, this movie definitely shows up for sure. But
Love
how
it.
about you, Steph?
Love it. Oh, I mean, I couldn't really put like a definitive like point in time for when I watched this movie for the first time. I definitely recall watching it when I was pretty young, and I definitely also recall watching it separately in primary school. I feel like it is like a peak, like last week of school movie, if that makes sense.
100%.
But I also couldn't tell you the last time that I watched it. It's not, for me, it's not really one of those ones that I watch every single year. Um, I think for me, that's more like The Grinch and like then also like Love Actually and also silly little Netflix movies.
We love the little rom-coms.
Of course, I am not immune to it.
No. Well, I love that. So, the Polar Express.
Mhm.
I mean, I hope we're not spoiling it today. It's such a classic. We're gonna do probably a short synopsis, I reckon, this week because I feel like
Yes.
everyone's kind of watched this movie. So,
Yeah.
The Polar Express is about this young boy who he's grown skeptical of Santa Claus. Who is this man who walks into my
Mhm.
house and brings presents? That's not real.
A very typical childhood type experience, I feel,
Yes,
very relatable for children.
I would say so. And, during the night, he's up and awake, he's, very skeptical and he overhears some conversations. But a train shows up outside and he's like, "What?" And he runs outside and he hops on this train and, it is Christmas Eve, by the way. I didn't reiterate that, but the
Not
train is
just a
on,
random night.
yeah, it's not random, right? It is Christmas Eve. And the train's on the way to the North Pole. So he accepts the invitation from the conductor. He climbs on board. His little ticket is stabbed out with I think a B and an E, which we come back to that later.
Yeah.
And he gets on this journey to get to Santa's headquarters. And he makes some friends. There's some weird kids on there, and you know he gets to the North Pole where he learns an invaluable lesson about the true spirit of Christmas, and it's about belief. So he when he's meeting Santa, or right before he meets Santa, he rings a bell, which is what we were mimicking at the start
Yeah,
of this
yeah,
episode, which is why I'm bringing it up. And he can't hear the bell ring. And so then he tells himself he believes, and then hears the bell ring, and Santa hears him say that, and you know, is impressed by that or whatever. And then by the time this kid gets home, Santa gives him the bell, which he can still hear, and he continues to hear when he grows old, while other people, their belief goes away and they stop hearing the bell. And Yeah, I think that's a good little summary. I hope I didn't miss anything
Yeah,
important.
I thought so.
But, yeah, this movie's about belief, if I didn't already punch
Yes.
that in the face. Oh, yeah, and his little ticket, which said BE, when the conductor stubs his ticket for the rest of the ride home, it says believe, which,
Oh,
I mean, if I have to say it any louder, I mean.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, so
Indeed, indeed.
I feel like we have to talk about the cast for this movie, and not really
Yes.
the cast, but I want to talk about one specific person.
Yeah, me too.
And
Shout out to Tom Hanks for playing multiple different roles in this movie.
yeah, he
Talent is all I can say.
talent. So this was like a motion capture animated movie. So Tom Hanks actually
Hmm.
physically acted out this movie as like all these characters: hero boy, father, conductor, hobo, Scrooge, Santa Claus. That's a lot of characters. And I know he voiced
Yeah,
a lot of them as well, which was really interesting. And interestingly enough as well, Tom Hanks playing Hero Boy, he couldn't do some of the motion capture. So our favorite on this podcast, Josh Hutcherson, when he was a child, also did some of the motion capture for this
that's
movie.
so powerful.
I know, I love it.
I did see that and I was like, oh, surely it can't be that Josh Hutcherson.
Yeah, I know, I was the
And
same.
then it was like, what?
I was the same. So I thought that was really cool. I mean, there was a lot of other people on this movie, but Tom Hanks
Mm,
is obviously the big standout for this one, playing so
yeah,
many roles, being so involved in this movie. I mean, he is kind of a legend in the film industry, I think, so
of course.
it makes sense.
We all
Well,
know Tom Hanks.
exactly. I was gonna say, Steph, are there any other little shout outs of the cast?
Not really. To be honest, I actually didn't really recognize like really any other names in
Yeah.
this cast. But I also remember, like, just as like a little aside, I also remember finding like the motion capture, like the animation to be really freaky looking as a kid. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I just didn't like it. I think probably why this movie was not like it didn't become one of my Christmas faves, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, from what I remember, like the voice cast was superb.
Yeah.
And I think it's like a really interesting, like if you think about it from a movie making point of view as well, it's like it's a really experimental kind of style of like
Mm,
doing a blend. So I mean, if nothing else, like it's they tried something,
they did. And,
which
it's
is
funny.
yeah,
I was gonna say it's funny you mention it because it wasn't a hit with everyone. Not just
no,
you, Steph,
it
so
was
it's okay.
not.
I think everyone found it a little bit creepy because
Indeed.
it was like the first feature length film to be entirely created by using motion capture technology. That's a
Hmm.
big deal. And
Yeah.
I think we kind of, I don't know if we've spoken about it, but there's a lot of games that use motion capture, especially these days. There's like
Yes.
Until Dawn, for example, and all of those like decision type games. A lot of them use motion capture, and
Mm,
they're not creepy, but they've kind of been around for a little bit now. They've had time to work on it, but when this came out, it was kind of new to the scene and,
totally.
you know,
Totally. It was so
new
fresh.
technology. Exactly. Um, but I thought we'd jump into some other facts
Uh-huh.
while we're on this fun fact train.
Indeed.
See what I did there?
Got him.
Uh, so this movie is based off the 1985 children's book of the same name. So it wasn't just a made up movie. It came from a book. It was one of the first movies to be released with a 6.1 surround sound mix, which is just another thing,
Ooh.
another thing added to like new technologies with this movie. It's hitting a few
Mm.
milestones. It was the first movie to be released in IMAX 3D. I think I might have written that fact down a little wrong. It might be like first animated movie or something like that.
Okay.
It's in the Guinness World Records for its achievements of like the motion capture and all that.
Yeah.
It was a Grammy winner, and that was all. That was all my fun facts. I didn't have that many.
Love it. Love it. I have like a couple of notes on, I guess, like the general reception to this movie from like a box office standpoint, as well as like you kind of alluded to it earlier, but not everyone liked this movie.
Yeah.
So from a box office perspective, the film actually opened in second place behind The Incredibles, which
Fair.
earned it ended up earning $23.3 million from approximately 7,000 screens at 3.6K theaters. Um, and it also brought in a total of 30.6 million since it was, I don't know how to describe it. It was released on a Wednesday, so it counts for those few days
Right.
outside of like a weekend, like your average like weekend release as well. Um, and then so I found this to be quite interesting. So since Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was released in 2001, Warner Brothers released 10 major films and all of them had dropped off at least 36% in their second weekend, which I was
Oof.
like, that is crazy. But only 7 dropped off at least 49%, and not one of them had a lower 3-day opening weekend total gross as the Polar Express. So I don't know what the exact number was, but it's not a very promising sign when there's such a steep drop off so freaking quickly post your movies released in theaters.
Yes, it's
And
not
even
wrong.
overseas, yeah, exactly. Um, Even overseas, like it struggled as well. It was prematurely labeled as a flop by the media. Um, but in its third weekend, which was Thanksgiving, the film increased by 24%, earning 19.4 million, where the week previously it had only grossed 15.7. So obviously people were on holidays, people were on break, people were with family. All of those factors probably led to a bit of an uptick in revenue generated for this film as well.
Hmm.
And then just like a few notes on the critical response. So, as we kind of said, it received really divisive opinions and reviews from critics. Some called it an instant Christmas classic. 50%, 56%, sorry, of the critics' reviews on Rotten Tomatoes were positive, and the average was about 6.4 out of 10. Prolific reviewer Roger Ebert gave the film his highest rating of 4 stars, saying, quote, "There's a deeper, shivery tone instead of the mindless jolliness of the usual Christmas movie, and it has a haunting, magical quality. It's a little creepy, not creepy in an unpleasant way, but in that sneaky, teasing way that lets you know eerie things could happen," which I found to
Oh.
be quite interesting. Um, I did see another one, so I'm just going through my notes that were like quite silly. Oh, here we
Mm.
go. Someone gave the film 1.5 stars out of 5 and said, "I could probably have tolerated the incessant jitteriness of the Polar Express if the look of it didn't give me the creeps. If I were a child, I'd have nightmares. Come to think of it, I did anyway." That is a crazy thing to say um,
Jeez.
regarding like a children's movie, not gonna
Yeah.
lie. But I just thought that was quite interesting. Although I did see that there were some murmurings of a sequel from earlier this year.
Oh.
So I doubt that that's been greenlit. I feel like we would have heard a bit more about it, but I just,
Mm.
if there does end up being a Polar Express sequel, we can point back to this episode and say, we saw it coming.
That's true. Now,
But yes, that's all my fun facts.
I mean, I think your camera loved the fun facts because it's been giving thumbs up this whole time.
Slay!
Slay.
I didn't even notice.
Anyways,
That's a gift for the watchers.
that's
Sorry,
true.
listeners.
All right, marketing. So
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes it's hard to find marketing on movies from a little further ago when the internet was a little more fresh, I must say.
Yes, I
But
agree.
but there are a few things, and the Polar Express continues to be something that is ongoing with experiences and the movie itself. So it is continually still like out there. But
Mhm.
here are a few of the things we can talk about. So Warner Bros. And Kraft Foods teamed up to promote the theatrical release of the movie. Kraft Foods offered the Polar Express Train Adventure, the game, online at posttopia.com, where customers who purchased specially marked boxes of
Mm.
Post Kids cereals received special codes for the online game. By entering the codes, customers could unlock all levels of the game. So that was a piece of their marketing that I could find that was quite interesting that happened,
Mm.
in with the theatrical release. There was
Yeah.
also Polar Express train sets released by like Lionel, which was a model like
Mm.
railroad manufacturer, and there were other manufacturers too. I find there's a lot of train community stuff on
Yes, yes,
on
I found
the
that
Polar
too.
Express. Yeah. But I do love it. All the people who like trains, they were happy about this
Yes,
movie.
yeah.
Um there was also, I'm unsure if I was difficult to find if this Craft Foods game and another game I found were the same game or not. But there was another game that was released that was called like the Polar Express, but had a different plot to the film. Where like this Scrooge puppet is stealing the kids' tickets from um from them to ruin their belief in Santa. So I don't know what that is, but yeah. Then there were ads, trailers, posters, a DVD release, so lots of things to get people talking.
Mhm.
There was newspaper ads, which I saw, which was pretty cool. We don't really have confirmation, I'd say, on newspaper ads, but I actually found
Yeah.
some pictures of them. So confirmation there was newspaper ads. There was
Yeah.
of course the IMAX release, and finally, the most cool thing I think is the like all around the world there's these Polar Express experiences that people of all ages can do where they get to sit in the train, they have the hot chocolate, they have the conductor come by and hole punch their tickets and stuff
Mm.
like that. So
Cool.
I'd say that's a little capsule of their marketing that I could find. I don't know if you
Yeah.
found anything else, Steph, from what I found, but
I saw just in regards to the Polar Express experience, obviously it's something that like a lot of trains around the world can kind of facilitate. But I specifically saw SeaWorld Orlando had like a very specific Polar Express experience, which was not so much like an actual train, but more so like a ride. It's a motion simulator based on the film. Um, and it came out in 2007 and was like kind of a temporary replacement for an existing ride. Um, but it was only available from November 2007 to January of 2008. Um, and unfortunately, 2015 was like the last year that they had it running, which I thought was kind of a shame. But it's super interesting. It's like a 4D experience. It's one of
ooh,
those ones which I found to be pretty cool. I don't know if
yeah.
you've seen like video footage of it, but like I was like just I was just impressed by like how much went into it. I
Mm,
feel like there's a lot of like continued marketing for this movie,
yeah.
which I feel like Christmas movies specifically seem to have that a lot of that ongoing type thing where it's always going to be relevant because Christmas is always happening each
Yeah.
year. So, it always comes back into like the public eye. So I feel like marketers can always justify using Polar Express or any of the other like cult classic Christmas movies, I guess, as a way of pushing their own products. It's very cyclical if you think about it.
Mm, I'd agree. Uh, do you have anything else before I move on
I
to our?
don't really. No,
No.
no.
Well, that means we can move on to our favorite segment. Now, it's going to be a little
Ooh.
different today because
Okay.
I'm going to
Okay.
be honest. When I went on our favorite website to look at some fanfics, when I
Yeah.
filtered it to complete fics without any crossovers that were in English, I got 12 fics, and those in total came down to fics about the hobo's death or fics relationship fics between the hobo and the conductor. So,
Oh my God.
I did not pick an AO
No.
like a fic for today, but I did bring Letterboxd to the table. So, Steph, we're
Yay!
gonna reverse the roles today,
Yes.
and I'm
Keen.
gonna read you four different comments, and you're gonna
Yeah.
guess the star ratings.
Oh my God. Do we need a theme for Letterboxd?
Maybe, I'm not sure, but
We'll
today we're
workshop
doing
it.
it.
It's fine.
Okay, so here's your first one.
Okay.
I liked it a lot better this year.
I love that. Because that can apply every single year. I feel like that's a very neutral review. Maybe a 3.5.
Very close. 4 out of 5.
Damn.
You're
Okay,
very
it's a bit more
close.
positive than I thought it would be.
Yeah, but you're within 0.5, so I'll give it to you.
Perfect. Thank
Okay,
you.
here's your next one. Okay, I can't say the full. I'm going to have to bleep one
That's
word
okay.
because it's
Yeah.
going to give away what they rated it. Okay?
Yeah.
Rating this train ride a bleep as I think my hot chocolate was spiked.
Like a 1.
Yeah. You are
Yeah.
correct. 1 out of 5 stars.
Yay.
Okay.
Your hot chocolate was spiked. Okay.
Okay. I think you'll like this one, Steph.
Okay. Okay. I'm keen.
Tom Hanks Universe featuring Tom Hanks and guest starring Tom Hanks.
Yeah. That's that was did I write that one? No, joke. Um, that's just like nothing about the movie though. I love it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, a 3.
Yeah, 3.5. I'll give it to
I don't
you.
know.
You're on a roll, Steph. All right. Here's your
Oh,
final one. I left the longest one till last.
okay.
All right, ready? Feels like drinking watered down hot chocolate at my elementary school Christmas party the day before winter break without a care in the world.
5 stars.
4.5.
No. Oh, oh my God, that's so funny. By
Steph,
our logic, I got all of them right.
yeah, you did very well.
I was very close. I just, you know, I know how people think on the internet.
So true. But there you
No, that
go.
was fun.
That's the little letterbox segment. So I guess gotta ask Steph, any final thoughts?
Um, while it might not be my favorite movie, I actually think the marketing of it is very interesting. Simply because, as we said, it's still very much like ongoing. Obviously the movie's been released for some time and, you know, maybe it didn't have the best response, but it certainly lasted. So
Yeah,
there's
true.
nothing else that's compliment to the filmmakers for sure.
Yeah, very true.
And how about yourself?
Well, this continues to be a classic, something that, one day I'll watch and I'm like, yes, great movie. And another day I'll watch
Yeah.
it and go, okay, I'm getting a little creeped out by the animation. But in
Yeah,
terms of
fair.
marketing, I mean, yeah, like you said, Steph, it's something that's ongoing. There's always something going on with it. Someone's always talking about it. It's something that year round, yeah, the Polar Express is there and it's here to stay. And I think for a movie to achieve that, even with its like 50-50 kind of like love hate with the,
Yeah.
the audience, I mean, applaud to the filmmakers.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. But I think that wraps us up. So I hope you all enjoyed the first episode of our Christmas season, part 2, because this is our second Christmas season.
Oh my god.
I know. We have an Instagram and a TikTok, so check us a follow. Steph and Anja's movie review, all one word. And guys, like, share, comment. I don't know what else to say. Follow us. That'd be great.
Yeah.
We'd love to see and hear what you thought. And yeah, I think that wraps us up.
Yeah. Oh, we also take recommendations.
Oh yes.
If there's anything you want us to review, please let us know. We, want to make sure that we're not alienating anyone who's listening or watching. So if there's something you really want us to look at, let us know.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, and if nothing else, outro.